medicines have been extremely popular with Indians, and for centuries, Ayurvedic medicines are known to have treated diabetes and related disorders. Today I have with me a very interesting guest, Dr. Rohit Sani, and he is director of Sani Madhoga Clinic to tell us about diabetes treatment through Ayurveda. Thank you so much, Dr. Sani, for being with us.
Hello.
Let me begin by asking you, what is your chain of Ayurvedic clinics doing?
Okay. Like as all of us know, diabetes basically is like a disease wherein the bomb has already exploded. Now nothing can be reverted back to normal. Now we have to live with diabetes for all of our years, whatever we have. Now when we start living with diabetes for all those years, we should take care that this diabetes should not harm any of our other organs so that it doesn't create any more complications.
Correct.
So the clinics that we have, basically these are cardiac rehabilitation clinics, and as we know, diabetes, the best friend of diabetes is going to be the heart. So it's always going to get affiliated towards the heart, and it is always going to go and attack the heart some sooner or later. What are we trying to do is we are trying to get the muscles of your heart stronger, so that even though the heart gets attacked by diabetes, maybe I'll be a bit more simpler like this, that even though the blood sugar goes on increasing and the blood gets more and more thicker, the heart muscles of the heart would be that strong that they are going to pump this viscous blood also. That is what is the small concept that we have tried to put in, and we are just trying to enrich the cardiac muscles so that they become more and more stronger as the age goes ahead.
So essentially it's about treatment of heart and to avoid complications.
Very true, very true. It's about the treatment of heart as well as the treatment of risk factors which might lead to heart disease later on.
Okay. But I guess you have a fabulous number of branches all
Yes.
over the state. Can you tell us about how many branches and where are they?
There are about 165 centers all over Maharashtra.
Okay.
As well as we have about 4 hospitals. One is in Khopoli, one is in Nagpur, one is in Indore, one is in Varanasi.
Okay.
So all these hospitals as well as all these 165 clinics, all of them are placed in, say, about 60% are placed in the rural areas, while 40% are placed in the urban areas.
Okay. And in the south also, do you have any particular?
South India, you mean to say?
Yeah.
No, not yet. We haven't planned yet to enter into South India. Maybe in the year of 2016 or 17, we'll be planning for that.
And when you choose, even inside Maharashtra, what is your game plan, or what is your strategy? Do you check about what kind of diabetes is prevalent in that, or probably heart disease is prevalent there?
To be very honest, now the game has become so simple that every family you have a diabetic. So getting a survey done and searching for more and more diabetics in that area, and then putting in, or else putting in clinic wherever there are maximum heart patients, that is not necessary, because as what the survey says, every family has a diabetic person, and every second diabetic there is going to be one heart patient. So the game has become so simple, so we don't have to think about it. We just have to go and deliver the services and try to prevent these heart diseases as well as these problems or these complications that can be solved later on.
Dr. Sani, can you tell us about your personal background also in terms of allopathic medicine?
Fine. Basically, I've done my MBBS. I passed my MBBS in 1999 from Aurangabad University, that is, the college was in Latur. And later on, I did my fellowship in cardiac rehab from Apollo Hospital. So basically, I'm a modern medicine guy, and my father was an eminent personality in Ayurveda. He was a practicing doctor for 40 years. 2004 he expired. Before that 40 years he used to practice. He was head of the department of Sai Ayurvedic College for the medicine department, that is Ayurvedic medicine department over there, as well as he was a Senate member of Mumbai University. He was a very scholar personality in Ayurveda, and when I had passed out my modern medicine, I used to sit along with him in his clinic, and I used to see that about 100 patients he used to deal with in a day, 70-80% would be related to heart patients or maybe diabetics or something like that. And every time what I used to do is I used to put a cross check on his patients, whether the patients have really improved or not, I used to put a cross check with modern medicine investigations. So every time I used to see the patient has improved a lot, without undergoing any surgery, without undergoing any medications as such through modern medicine, yet the patient is improving on modern parameters. So I said, why to unnecessarily go ahead and reinvent the wheel again through modern medicine? Why not to uptake the same knowledge and prosper it ahead? So that was the whole time turning point for me. So then I took a decision, I'll be going ahead with this science. I'll be fusing the modern investigations with Ayurvedic treatments so that the patients could see the improvement in their health through modern investigations, but the treatment would be done through the Ayurvedic point of view. So then that was a fusion model, that is what is Madhavpal.
But then do you not mix the medicines in some cases?
That is not required. To be very honest, I'll give you a few examples.
Okay.
Like the first cardiac medicine that you must be knowing is digoxin. Now, where has this digoxin been obtained from? Basically, digoxin is nothing else but Digitalis foxglove. That's a plant, and in Ayurveda, that plant is called as Rudpatri. So it's an herb which has been converted into a chemical compound, and now we are using it as the first cardiac medicine available. The worst antihypertensive medicine, that was Riserpine. That Riserpine medicine again has been available from Ayurvedic herb called as Sarpagandha.
Okay.
So if at all you go into the history of any modern medicine drug, like the first antibiotic, penicillin, it has been obtained from a fungus. So any medicine, if at all you go into the depth into these allopathic medicines, you will get to know that these medicines are none other than the nature. We have got something from the nature, we have tried to twist it a bit, yes, and then we have tried to make a compound out of it and try to make a medicine. For example, the worst thrombolytic medicine, that is whenever if at all I suffer heart attack, I'll be getting an injection called as urokinase or streptokinase, yes, or these medicines which I inject in that person. This is available from ourselves urine, hence it is called as urokinase. So everything is available naturally. So as you said, till now it was never a need to mix up the medicines, because Ayurveda has a huge database of herbs as well as proved therapies have been put in their texts, which we can use it very easily. So it's a ready-made game plan for Ayurveda. The only answer is just interpreting it in the right way, is what the challenge is about. So till now I haven't any time required, I did not find any need to mix up those medicines yet. But the diagnostic interventions that modern medicine has, hats off to it.
What about emergency treatments? When emergency comes, can you actually depend on Ayurveda alone?
You are absolutely right. Now, there are two answers for this question. If you ask me about the present tense, I say no. I have nothing to deal with emergency in Ayurveda right now. Okay. But now it's my responsibility to give back something to Ayurveda, okay, by coming up with some emergency medicines in Ayurveda. We have planned for a tie-up, as well as we have done a tie-up with NMIMS Institute, Research Institute, okay, wherein we are performing an animal trial for thrombolytic herbs. All those medicines which will be used in emergency heart attacks is like of thing, okay, wherein those herbs can be just put in through the sublingual route or maybe the rectal route. This gets absorbed inside the blood and starts breaking the clot. That is what the concept is all about. So the animal trials, phase 1 trial is already on. So maybe if at all you ask me this question, no, the trial is not yet completed.
Okay.
Maybe if at all you ask me this question, whether you have any medicines for the emergency management or not, maybe after say about 2 years or 3 years you ask me this question, maybe I'll be able to give you a positive answer for that.
And what will the process of approvals in these kind of new medicines, which probably even the West does not know about? Or
the approval you mean to say? What happens? In modern medicine, the approval is to be required from DCGI, Drug Control of India. Now, why does modern medicine require an approval from DCGI is that is a new molecule. That is a new chemical compound that requires an approval to see whether the adverse effects are there or not.
True.
While in Ayurveda, there is a body called as Ayush. Ayush, what does it say is, if at all this formulation or the herbs, that whatever you are going to use, are from the pharmacopoeia of India, you don't have to go for a different approval of the formulation as such. Obviously, you have to register the formulation with the FDA.
Okay.
So that is all what the Constitution of India says about Ayurvedic medicines, because they are tried and tested, people are consuming it since last 80-100 years, Ayurveda is been written in Charak, Sushruta, Vagbhat since 5,000 years. So it's a tried and tested matter. As we all know, we are continuously consuming rice, dal, chapati, sab kuch kha to rahe hai. But at the same time, we have no adverse effects with that. So that itself shows that Ayurveda is with least of adverse effects. Obviously, if at all you have something in a very higher amount and a very stupid way you have it, obviously that is going to lead to many of the adverse effects. But to be very honest, if at all it has been consumed in the required way, it is not going to create any adverse effects. Hence, the regulatory people must be knowing about it. Hence, they haven't put any different legal regulations to get it affiliated or approved by some DCG or something like that.
You think Ayurveda is dying because there is a huge fear among people in India that, first of all, Ayurveda is something which goes just like you, in hereditary. And, learning about Ayurveda itself is a difficult subject. Third thing is that there is so much of loss of herbs which were easily available earlier. Now it's no more easily available. So do you think that Ayurveda is dying very fast?
Unfortunately, yes. That was the very bad thing that was happening with Ayurveda. But I have tried to recognize few reasons for it, and I have already started acting on it that should not happen.
Okay.
The first reason, as you said, everything in Ayurveda is been written in Sanskrit. So a guy who doesn't know to read Sanskrit is out of Ayurveda. One. Second thing what happens is there are books, there are many of the literatures which have been converted into English. But what happens is, what is been normally said is Ayurveda is like a poem. It's like a poetry. You can interpret it through n number of ways. Which one is going to be right and which one is going to be wrong is always a question mark. Maybe that was a scholarly approach that those people must have kept, so that it can be interpreted in n number of ways, so that you can come out with n number of formulations or n number of ideas through it. It always has a positive as well as negative side. So that is one of the reasons that the language Sanskrit is a problem, and interpreting that Sanskrit into English or Hindi or Marathi is again a problem. So n number of different people will interpret it in n number of different ways. That is one problem that we have tried to identify. Now, what have we tried to put into is, we are trying to interpret it in our way, and we are trying to interpret it along with the research trials that we are performing. We are trying to back it with research trials. If at all we say this shlok means this, why does this mean this, is backed by a research trial that we are performing, animal trials, human trials, etc., etc. So this is one thing that I have tried to do. The second thing, as you said, why Ayurveda must not have taken off so fast, because it has been there since last 5,000 years, but allopathy has been there since 100 years, and 100 years it has gone ahead to such a huge speed. The second reason behind it was, as you said, legacy. People normally, what happens is, it comes from their father, and they try to keep that knowledge with themselves, etc., etc. That was the first thing that I had recognized, and I had immediately acted on it. Because of this, I have tried to build up a chain of 165 centers, and in the coming few years I will be planning for 500-600 clinics more.
Okay.
And the whole game plan would be like this: I am trying to get these Ayurvedic doctors into these clinics. We are trying to continuously train and upgrade them to that level, that they would understand the modern medicine part of it as well as the Ayurvedic part of it, and try to amalgamate both these sciences and help the patient in front of them. So I haven't tried to keep the knowledge what I had acquired from my father with me, but I have tried to put in on each and every training manuals, each and every books that we have. We are trying to put it ahead to our doctors, so that they continuously learn it and they try to prosper this knowledge as much as possible. So that was the second thing. Third thing, a very important thing, what I have tried to gauge everywhere is, I always try to watch out for Ayurvedic clinics whenever I go to any of rural areas, but hardly any Ayurvedic clinic is found over there. Ayurvedic doctors are found who are practicing allopathy science, but Ayurvedic practicing doctor is very less as such. Now, That might be the reason why Ayurveda has not matlab, got that speed. Maybe the availability was very less.
Okay.
Maybe the reason would be like this. For example, consider my head starts shaking. The first thing that would come to my mind, oh, I'll get a crocin from the chemist below me. So what will happen is, the available shop near to me is the first that I'll be running to.
True.
Ayurveda has lacked availability a lot. There are Ayurvedic graduates maybe more than allopathic graduates, but those people have not practiced Ayurveda to that level. Reasons might be any, but due to which availability of Ayurveda has been very low. Hence, people normally always would like to get their problems cured. Okay. They never think about whether this is Ayurveda, whether this is allopathy, whether this is homeopathy or anything like that. So, I think people, why did they not go to Ayurveda is because they did not have any center available near them. A person sitting in Chennai is not going to come to Mumbai to get an Ayurvedic medicine. So he has to have that Ayurvedic medicine available besides him. That is what Ayurveda was lacking to, and that is what we are trying this Ayurvedic concept to each and every rural as well as urban area. That was the third thing. Fourth thing that I observed why Ayurveda must have not taken that speed was, every time whenever I have met any Ayurvedic physician, none of those physicians had tried to parameterize any of the concept that they had. For example, this is a very, I'm not trying to point out anybody, but I'm just trying to tell you the scenario what it is. For example, as you must be knowing, in Ayurveda there are three doshas, Vata, Pitta and Kapha, all those things. Now, if at all I try to question myself as an Ayurveda guy, how much is the Pitta in my body?
Okay.
The question is big, but the answer is God knows. How much is the Kapha in my body? How much is the Vata in my body? God knows. But if at all you ask modern medicine, how much is the hemoglobin in your body? How much should be the normal? How much should be abnormal? Everything is in numbers. Ayurveda is not in numbers. That is what we have tried to recognize. So what happens is,
But is there no system to find that out also?
There are. As I said, they are all in Sanskrit shlokas. We need to interpret.
So, and the modern equipment we use to
101%, it can be. That is what we have tried to recognize and we have tried to implement it. Like for example, if a cardiac patient comes in, we try to get in his stress test before the treatment. We try to get his stress test after the treatment. And we show him the improvement, ha Surya, ha Jayadrat. So सामने हम लोग दिखा देते हैं कि this was the earlier condition, this is the condition right now. This is how you have improved. Same in case of diabetics, we get the HbA1c, we show how much has it reduced, so that gives you a good answer. As well as serum insulin levels, as well as HOMA-IR. There are n number of parameters that can be shown in a diabetic individual so that we can come to a conclusion whether the patient is improving or disimproving.
Okay.
So that is how we have tried to amalgamate these two sciences, and we are trying to, as you asked the question about Ayurveda dying off, we will not let it die off.